Admiral Zektar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue marble grow larger on the main screen. Earth looked so small and peaceful from space. The third planet from its yellow star showed no signs of the mighty civilization that should exist there. No orbital defense platforms, no military satellites, no warning beacons telling them to stay away. The Admiral's red scales darkened with confusion. In 300 years of conquest, the Draconian hegemony had never seen anything like this. Every other species they had encountered built defenses around their homeworld. They put weapons in space. They sent messages demanding the invaders leave. But the humans did nothing. "Commander Veltar, report," the Admiral growled. His voice echoed through the massive bridge where dozens of Draconian officers worked at their stations. "Sir, we have 500 ships ready for battle. All weapons are charged. Our scans show the planet has about 8 billion humans living on the surface. They have basic technology, but nothing that could threaten us." Commander Veltar checked his readings again. "Their most powerful weapons could barely damage one of our smaller ships." Admiral Zektar nodded slowly. This would be another easy victory. The Draconians had conquered 847 worlds without losing a single battle. Their ships could destroy entire continents with their plasma cannons. Their soldiers were bred for war, standing 8 feet tall with natural armor and razor-sharp claws. No species had ever stood against them for more than a few days, but something felt wrong about this place. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planet," reported the communications officer. "Put it on screen." The face of a human appeared on the main display. It was a middle-aged woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She wore simple clothes and sat in what looked like a plain office. Behind her, other humans moved around calmly, as if alien warships had not just arrived to conquer their world. "Greetings," the woman said with a warm smile. "I am Secretary General Maria Santos of the United Nations. We welcome you to Earth. We hope you had a safe journey through space."
"Is there anything we can help you with during your visit?"
The bridge fell silent. Admiral Zektar stared at the screen. In all his years of conquest, no species had ever welcomed them. They usually screamed or begged or tried to negotiate. Some attacked immediately. Others offered tribute, but none had ever acted like the Draconians were simply tourists. "You welcome us?" the Admiral finally managed to say. "Of course. Visitors are always welcome on Earth. We have prepared information packets about our planet if you would like to learn about our cultures and history. We also have translation services available in case you need help with our languages." Commander Veltar leaned toward his admiral. "Sir, this must be some kind of trick. They are probably trying to buy time while they prepare their defenses." Admiral Zektar had the same thought. Humans were known to be clever. Perhaps this was psychological warfare. He decided to test them. "Human, I am Admiral Zektar of the Draconian hegemony. We have come to conquer your world. You will surrender immediately or we will destroy your cities." Secretary General Santos nodded politely. "I understand. Would you prefer to land in New York, London, or perhaps Tokyo? We can provide landing coordinates for any location you choose. Our ground crews are standing by to assist with any technical needs your ships might have." The communications officer looked confused. He checked his equipment twice to make sure the transmission was working correctly. "Did she not hear what I said?" Admiral Zektar asked his bridge crew. "The translation systems are working perfectly, sir," replied the communications officer. Admiral Zektar tried again. "Human, we are here to take control of your planet. We will rule over your people. Those who resist will be killed." "That sounds like quite an undertaking," Santos replied cheerfully. "You will probably need maps and guidebooks. We have excellent tourism departments in most major cities. They can help you plan your stay. How long will you be visiting Earth?" The Admiral felt his blood pressure rising. Either these humans were the bravest species in the galaxy, or they were completely insane. He decided to demonstrate Draconian power. "Target the empty area next to their largest city. Fire one warning shot." "Yes, sir," replied the weapons officer. The massive plasma cannon on the flagship charged up. Energy readings climbed to devastating levels. The beam fired toward Earth, carrying enough power to vaporize a mountain. Every sensor on the bridge tracked the shot as it raced toward the planet's surface. Then something impossible happened. The energy beam simply disappeared, not absorbed or deflected. It vanished completely as if it had never existed. "Report," Admiral Zektar shouted. "Sir, all weapons fired normally. Energy output was at full power. but the beam vanished approximately 50,000 kilometers from the planet's surface. The weapons officer rechecked his instruments 3 times. I have never seen anything like this. On the screen, Secretary General Santos continued smiling. Is everything working correctly with your ships? Our technical support teams would be happy to help if you are experiencing any difficulties. Admiral Zektar felt a chill run down his spine. The humans had somehow neutralized a weapon that could destroy continents. Yet their technology appeared primitive. Their scans showed no energy shields around the planet. No defensive systems. Nothing that could explain what had just happened. Sir, Commander Veltar said quietly. Perhaps we should proceed with caution. The Admiral agreed. He had fought across the galaxy and learned to trust his instincts. Right now, those instincts were screaming that something was very wrong with this peaceful little planet. Send down advanced scouts, he ordered. I want full reports on their military capabilities, and find out how they neutralized our weapon. Sir, where should the scouts land? Admiral Zektar looked at the smiling human woman on his screen. Ask her. She seems eager to help. Secretary General Santos was delighted to provide landing coordinates. She recommended several major cities and offered to have tour guides waiting for the alien visitors. She even suggested good restaurants and hotels in case the scouts needed places to rest. As the first Draconian ships headed toward Earth's surface, Admiral Zektar wondered what they would find down there. He had conquered hundreds of worlds, but none had ever made him feel quite so uneasy. The blue planet looked so innocent and peaceful. But something was definitely not right about the humans who lived there. Something that might change everything the Draconians thought they knew about conquest and war. Captain Morgak landed his scout ship in Central Park, New York City. The area had been cleared of humans, just as the strange woman on the communication screen had promised. But as his ship touched down, Captain Morgak noticed something odd. Humans were still walking around the park. They pointed at his ship and took pictures with small devices. Some even waved. Command, this is Scout Team 1, he reported into his communicator. The humans are not running away. They appear to be treating our arrival as some kind of entertainment. Captain Morgak had been in dozens of invasions. Usually, when a Draconian ship landed, people screamed and fled in terror. Governments declared martial law. Military forces surrounded the landing zone. But here, families continued their picnics. Children played on nearby swings. A few humans had set up small stands and were selling food to other humans who had come to watch the aliens land. A small human child, maybe 6 years old, walked up to Captain Morgak as he stepped off his ship. She had blonde hair and carried a stuffed animal that looked like some kind of earth creature. Are you a dragon? She asked, looking up at his 8-foot frame. Captain Morgak stared down at her. His razor-sharp claws could cut through steel. His natural armor could stop bullets. His species had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, but this tiny human showed no fear at all. I am a Draconian warrior, he said in his most threatening voice. Cool. My name is Emma. What's your name? Before Captain Morgak could answer, a human woman rushed over and took the child's hand. Emma, you can't just walk up to visitors like that. I'm sorry, she said to Captain Morgak. She's very curious about new people. Are you here for the cultural exchange program? Cultural exchange program? Captain Morgak was completely confused. Oh, you must be with the military demonstration then. The city announced something about visiting military personnel today. Are you here for the parade? Captain Morgak tried to understand what was happening. Madam, we are here to conquer your planet. The woman laughed. That's a great costume. You look so realistic. Emma, look how detailed his makeup is. And those contact lenses make his eyes look just like a lizard's. She pulled out one of those small devices and took a picture of Captain Morgak. Then she walked away with the child, chatting about how amazing special effects had become. Captain Morgak contacted his ship. Team 2, what is your status? Sir, we landed in London as ordered. The humans here are also acting strangely. They offered us tea and asked if we needed directions to local museums. One human gave me a guidebook about British history. Team 3 reporting from Tokyo. Sir, the humans here bowed politely and gave us gifts. Small wrapped packages with food inside. They seem to think we are honored guests. Captain Morgak had never experienced anything like this. He decided to find the human military and demand their surrender. Surely their soldiers would react normally to an alien invasion. He asked several humans for directions to the nearest military base. Each one was happy to help. They gave him detailed directions and even drew maps. One elderly man insisted on walking with him for 6 blocks to make sure he didn't get lost. "Are you visiting from overseas?" the old man asked as they walked. "I am from the Draconian hegemony, many light years from here." "Oh, Eastern Europe? I have a nephew who moved to Hungary. Lovely country. Are you here for business or pleasure?" Captain Morgak gave up trying to explain. When he finally reached the military base, the guards at the gate were polite but unhelpful. "I'm sorry, sir, but we can't let civilians onto the base without proper authorization. If you're here for the tour program, you'll need to schedule an appointment through our public affairs office." "I am an alien invader," Captain Morgak said slowly and clearly. "I demand to speak with your commanding officer about your planet's surrender." The guard looked at his partner and shrugged.
Sir, we get a lot of people claiming to be aliens.
"Last week we had 3 different guys saying they were from Mars. You'll need to go through proper channels like everyone else." All across the planet, other Draconian scout teams reported similar experiences. In every major city, humans treated them like tourists or actors or confused visitors. Nobody seemed to understand that Earth was being invaded. Meanwhile, back on the flagship, Admiral Zektar received increasingly strange reports from his technical teams. "Sir, 17 of our scout ships are reporting equipment malfunctions," reported Commander Veltar. "Communication systems are cutting out randomly. Navigation computers are giving incorrect readings. Some weapons are refusing to charge." "What kind of malfunctions?" "That's the strange part, sir. When we run diagnostics, everything appears to be working perfectly. But when the crews try to use the equipment for military purposes, it fails." Admiral Zektar frowned. "Explain." "Well, for example, Scout Team 7 tried to use their ship's scanners to map human military installations. The scanners worked fine, but every time they detected what looked like a weapons facility, the readings would change to show something else. Parks, schools, hospitals. But when they scanned for peaceful locations like libraries or restaurants, the equipment worked perfectly. This made no sense to the Admiral. Technology didn't choose what to scan based on intent. "Sir, we're also getting reports of missing equipment," Commander Veltar continued. "Weapons that simply aren't there anymore. Not stolen or broken. They've just vanished from secured storage areas." "How many weapons are missing?" "About 30% from the ships that have landed on the planet. The strange thing is, our inventory computers show that the weapons were never there in the first place, but the crews clearly remember loading them." Admiral Zektar felt a headache coming on. In 300 years of conquest, the Draconians had never encountered anything like this. Equipment that worked perfectly until you tried to use it for hostile purposes. Weapons that disappeared and were forgotten by computers. Humans who acted like invasion fleets were tourist attractions. "Sir, incoming transmission from Scout Team 12. "Put it through." Captain Korath's voice crackled over the communication system. "Admiral, we have a problem. My ship won't start." "Explain." "We landed in a city called Paris. Everything was normal until we tried to leave. Now the engines won't start. Engineering says all systems are green, but nothing happens when we power up. Have you tried calling for technical support from the ship?" "That's the other problem, sir. Every time we try to contact the fleet, we get connected to something called customer service. A very polite human woman keeps asking if she can help us with our travel arrangements." Admiral Zektar closed his eyes and rubbed his temples. "Customer service?" "Yes, sir. She wanted to know if we were satisfied with our visit to Earth and if there was anything else she could do to make our stay more comfortable. When we explained that we were alien invaders, she put us on hold and played soft music." Admiral Zektar looked out at the peaceful blue planet below. Somehow the humans had turned a galactic invasion into a customer service problem. He was beginning to suspect that conquering Earth might be more difficult than anyone had imagined. Admiral Zektar paced the bridge of his flagship, his claws clicking against the metal floor. 3 days had passed since the first landing, and the situation had gone from strange to impossible. "Commander Veltar, give me the fleet status report." Commander Veltar checked his tablet, his expression growing more worried with each line. "Sir, we started with 500 ships. As of this morning, we have 412 ships remaining." "Remaining? What happened to the others?" "That's the problem, sir. We don't know. They just stopped responding. Not destroyed, not damaged. They simply went silent. When we try to scan for them, our sensors show empty space where the ship should be." Admiral Zektar felt his blood run cold. Show me the tactical display. The main screen lit up with a map of the Draconian fleet. Where there should have been 500 red dots representing their ships, only 412 remained. The others had simply vanished. Sir, it started with the scouts that landed on the planet, Commander Veltar explained. They reported normal conditions, then gradually their communications became less frequent. Finally, they stopped answering altogether. When we sent other ships to investigate, those ships disappeared too. What about the ships that stayed in orbit? That's where it gets really strange, sir. Ships disappear based on what their crews are doing. If a ship is scanning the planet for peaceful purposes, like studying their weather or geography, nothing happens. But if a ship begins targeting human cities or charging weapons, it vanishes within hours. Admiral Zektar stared at the display. That's impossible. Ships don't disappear because of their crew's intentions. I know, sir, but it's happening. Captain Torval's ship disappeared yesterday after he ordered his crew to target a human settlement. Captain Nexara's ship vanished this morning when she tried to test her plasma cannons on an empty field. Admiral Zektar decided to test this theory himself. Weapons officer, target that large island continent. Prepare to fire. Yes, sir. Targeting Australia. Weapons charging. The massive plasma cannons on the flagship began to power up. Energy readings climbed toward destructive levels. But just as the weapons reached full charge, alarms began blaring across the bridge. Sir, we're losing power to all systems. Engineering report. Admiral, this is impossible. Our main reactor is shutting down, but all diagnostics show it's working perfectly. The computer says we have full power, but nothing is responding. The bridge lights flickered and went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. The weapon systems went offline. Life support switched to backup power. Sir, we're dead in space, reported the engineering officer. Admiral Zektar looked at the tactical display, which was now running on emergency power. His own ship had become a red dot with warning indicators flashing around it. Cancel weapons targeting, he ordered. Immediately, the main lights came back on. The reactor readings returned to normal. All systems showed green status across the board. Engineering report. Sir, everything is working perfectly now. It's like the shutdown never happened. Admiral Zektar sat down heavily in his command chair. In 300 years of conquest, nothing like this had ever occurred. Their technology didn't malfunction based on what they were trying to accomplish. Yet somehow, the moment they tried to attack Earth, their own ships turned against them. Sir, incoming transmission from Captain Draknor. Put it through. Captain Draknor's face appeared on screen. He looked terrified. Admiral, something impossible just happened to my crew. Report. We were preparing to land and secure a human military base. Standard invasion protocol. But when we reached for our weapons, they weren't there anymore. Explain weren't there. Admiral, I mean they physically disappeared from our hands. Plasma rifles, energy swords, combat armor. One moment we were armed and ready. The next moment we were standing in the equipment bay wearing our underwear. Admiral Zektar rubbed his temples. What does your equipment inventory show? That's the strangest part, sir. According to the computer, we never had any weapons. The inventory logs show we loaded civilian exploration gear, but I personally supervised the weapons loading yesterday. Similar reports came in from across the fleet. Weapons disappearing from secured storage. Equipment manifest changing to show non-military supplies. Combat armor transforming into tourist clothing. But the most disturbing report came from Captain Velkoth. Admiral, my ship just received a message from Earth. What kind of message? It appears to be from their tourism department. They're asking if we need assistance with our visit. They offered to provide guides, translators, and recommendations for local attractions. Admiral Zektar looked at the message on his screen. It was written in perfect Draconian script. Dear visitors from the Draconian hegemony, welcome to Earth. We hope you are enjoying your stay. We noticed some of your ships seem to be experiencing technical difficulties. Our support teams are standing by to assist with any problems you might be having. We have prepared a special visitors package that includes maps of all major cities, restaurant recommendations, cultural sites and museums, information about local customs, emergency contact numbers. If any of your crew members would like to extend their visit, we can provide temporary housing and employment opportunities. Several of your scouts have already enrolled in our universities to study human culture. Please let us know if there's anything else we can do to make your visit more comfortable. Sincerely, Earth Welcome Committee. Admiral Zektar read the message 3 times. They're treating this like a vacation. Sir, there's more. They included a survey asking us to rate our experience on Earth so far. Questions about the quality of customer service, the friendliness of local humans, and whether we would recommend Earth to other visitors. Admiral Zektar stood up and walked to the main viewing port. The blue planet turned slowly below them, looking as peaceful and innocent as ever, but he was beginning to understand that Earth was the most dangerous place the Draconians had ever encountered. Not because the humans had powerful weapons or advanced technology, but because somehow, in some impossible way, the planet itself seemed to be fighting back, and it was winning. Commander Veltar sent a message to all remaining ships. No hostile actions against the planet or its inhabitants. Anyone who targets human settlements or charges weapons will be considered lost. Sir, are you saying we're suspending the invasion? Admiral Zektar looked at his fleet status. 412 ships, and that number was dropping every time someone on his crew had an aggressive thought. Commander, I'm beginning to think the invasion suspended us. Admiral Zektar stood in the laboratory of Dr. Sarah Chen, feeling more confused than he had ever been in his 300 years of life. The human scientist was a small woman with gray hair and thick glasses. She wore a simple white coat and smiled at him like he was a curious student rather than a galactic conqueror. Please, sit down, Dr. Chen said, gesturing to a chair that had been specially made to accommodate his 8-foot frame. I know this must all be very confusing for you. Around the laboratory, other human scientists worked quietly at their computers and instruments. None of them seemed concerned that an alien admiral was in their facility. They treated his presence like he was a visiting colleague. Dr. Chen, my ships are disappearing. My weapons don't work. My crew members are forgetting they ever had military equipment. I need answers. Dr. Chen nodded sympathetically. Yes, I imagine that would be quite distressing. Would you like some coffee while we talk? Admiral Zektar wanted to roar with frustration, but he had learned that aggressive behavior around humans only made the strange effects worse. Just explain what's happening to my fleet. Well, to understand that, we need to talk about probability in human evolution. Dr. Chen pulled up a holographic display showing complex mathematical equations. Do you understand quantum mechanics? Basic principles, yes. Good. Then you know that at the quantum level, reality is based on probability. Things happen because they have a certain chance of occurring. A particle has a 50% chance of being in one location and a 50% chance of being in another, until someone observes it. Admiral Zektar nodded. This was standard physics taught in every military academy. Now, most species in the galaxy evolved on worlds with relatively stable environments. Their evolutionary pressure was about adapting to their surroundings. But Earth is different. Dr. Chen changed the display to show Earth's history. Our planet has gone through countless catastrophes. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcano eruptions, magnetic pole reversals. Species that survived on Earth needed something special. They needed luck. Luck is not a biological trait, isn't it? Dr. Chen smiled. What if I told you that humans have evolved the ability to unconsciously influence quantum probability? Not telepathy or telekinesis, but something much more subtle. We can make unlikely things more likely to happen. Admiral Zektar stared at her. That's impossible, is it? Think about your human history. How many times have smaller human armies defeated larger ones because of lucky weather? How often do human exploration missions survive impossible odds due to fortunate accidents? How many times has human technology worked when it shouldn't have, simply because someone really needed it to? The Admiral thought about the reports from his scouts. Equipment failing at precisely the wrong moments. Weather turning bad exactly when Draconian forces tried to advance. Small accidents that prevented military operations. You're saying humans can control luck? Not control influence, and not consciously. It's an automatic response to existential threats. When humanity faces extinction, 8 billion human minds unconsciously work together to adjust probability in our favor. Dr. Chen brought up another display showing brain scans. We call it the Murphy field effect. You know Murphy's law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. But for humans facing extinction, it works in reverse. Anything that can save humanity will save humanity. That's just superstition, is it? Your plasma cannon had a 0.001% chance of malfunction when you tried to fire at Earth. With 8 billion humans unconsciously wishing for your weapons to fail, that tiny probability became 100%. Your ships have millions of components, each with minute chances of breakdown. When those ships threaten humanity, All those tiny probabilities add up. Admiral Zektar felt sick. You're saying my fleet is being destroyed by wishful thinking? Not destroyed. Relocated. The ships that disappear don't cease to exist. They're moved to timelines where they never threatened Earth in the first place. Your missing crews are living happy lives in alternate realities where they came to Earth as peaceful explorers. Dr. Chen showed him recordings from around the world. Draconian soldiers sitting in human cafes, drinking coffee and chatting with locals. Others enrolled in universities studying human art and literature. Some had even started romantic relationships with human partners. Your Captain Morgak is now working as a tour guide in Central Park. He leads groups of human children on nature walks and tells them stories about distant planets. Captain Velkoth has opened a restaurant that serves traditional Draconian cuisine. It's quite popular. That's impossible. They were trained warriors, were they? Check your records. Admiral Zektar accessed his ship's database through his portable communicator. According to official records, Captain Morgak had always been a civilian cultural exchange specialist. Captain Velkoth was listed as a chef and diplomat. Their military ranks and combat training had been erased from history. The probability field doesn't just change the present, Dr. Chen explained. It adjusts the past to make the present more probable. Your invasion fleet becomes a peaceful contact mission. Your weapons become scientific instruments. Your soldiers become tourists and students. Admiral Zektar looked around the laboratory. The human scientists continued their work, completely unaware that they were discussing the most terrifying power in the galaxy. How many humans know about this ability? None of them. If humans consciously knew they could manipulate reality, the ability would stop working. It only functions as an unconscious survival mechanism. The moment we try to control it deliberately, it disappears. So you're telling me that my empire's greatest military force has been defeated by an unconscious reflex? Dr. Chen nodded. Every invasion of Earth throughout history has failed the same way. The Spanish Armada, Napoleon's campaigns, both world wars. Reality simply adjusts to make human survival more probable. The bigger the threat, the stronger the effect. Admiral Zektar sat in silence for several minutes processing this information. Finally, he asked the most important question. What happens if I try to leave Earth and report this to the hegemony? Dr. Chen looked genuinely sad. I'm afraid that would create an existential threat to humanity. If your empire knew about our probability manipulation, they might find ways to counter it. Therefore, the quantum field would prevent you from leaving with that knowledge. You mean I'm trapped here? Only if you remain hostile. The moment you genuinely abandon all intention to harm humanity, you become free to leave, but you also become unable to remember why the invasion failed. You'll return home believing Earth was successfully colonized by peaceful volunteers. Admiral Zektar realized he faced an impossible choice. Stay on Earth with full knowledge of humanity's power, or leave and forget everything he had learned. It was, he thought grimly, exactly the kind of situation where probability would work against him. Admiral Zektar stood on the observation deck of his flagship, looking down at Earth for what he knew would be the last time as a conqueror. In the past week, his fleet had shrunk from 500 ships to 23. The remaining vessels were crewed by Draconians who had given up all hostile intentions toward humanity. Commander Veltar approached him with the final reports. Sir, the last of our military equipment has been reassigned. According to our computers, we came to Earth carrying scientific instruments, cultural gifts, and humanitarian supplies. Admiral Zektar nodded. He could feel his own memories shifting. The harder he tried to remember his original invasion plans, the more they seemed like diplomatic missions. But Dr. Chen's explanation remained clear in his mind, probably because understanding the truth was no longer a threat to humanity. What about the crew? Most have chosen to stay on Earth, sir. They've found new lives as teachers, artists, researchers, and entrepreneurs. Several have married humans and started families. Captain Morgak sent a message saying he's been offered a position at the Museum of Natural History. Admiral Zektar wasn't surprised. His soldiers had been warriors bred for conquest, but Earth had turned them into something else. Not through force or brainwashing, but by simply making peaceful alternatives more probable than violent ones. And our mission reports to High Command? Commander Veltar checked his tablet. All submitted, sir. We're reporting a successful peaceful contact mission. Earth has been classified as a protected cultural site due to its unique artistic and scientific contributions to galactic civilization. The Hegemony Council has approved a permanent embassy and cultural exchange program. Admiral Zektar smiled grimly. Even his reports home had been affected by the probability field. Instead of warning the Hegemony about humanity's dangerous abilities, he was recommending Earth for special protection status. "Sir, there's one more thing," Commander Veltar said quietly. "I've been thinking about staying too." "Why?" "The humans offered me a position at their United Nations headquarters. They want me to help establish protocols for peaceful contact with other alien species. They said my experience with interspecies relations would be valuable." Admiral Zektar looked at his longtime friend and second-in-command. "Do you remember why we came here, Veltar?" Commander Veltar frowned, concentrating. "We came to establish diplomatic relations and cultural exchange programs, didn't we? Although," he paused, looking confused, "sometimes I have strange dreams about weapons and invasions. But that doesn't make sense. The Hegemony has always been peaceful." The probability field was already working on his crew's memories. Soon none of them would remember the Draconian Hegemony as a conquering empire. In their minds, it would always have been a peaceful federation of worlds dedicated to exploration and cultural exchange. "Take the position, old friend. I think you'll be happy here." Admiral Zektar made his final decision. He opened a communication channel to Draconian High Command. "High Command, this is Admiral Zektar reporting from Earth. Our cultural exchange mission has been highly successful. The humans are a remarkable species with much to offer galactic civilization. I am recommending immediate establishment of permanent peaceful relations." He paused, then continued with words that felt strange in his mouth but somehow completely natural. "However, I must report some concerning intelligence about potential threats in this sector. Long-range sensors have detected signs of aggressive species in nearby systems. I recommend that our fleet remain in this area to monitor the situation and protect Earth from any hostile forces." "Acknowledged, Admiral." "Maintain position and continue monitoring. High Command is pleased with your successful first contact protocols." Admiral Zektar closed the channel and realized what he had just done. He had volunteered his fleet to become Earth's protectors. Not because he was forced to, but because it felt like the right thing to do. Commander Veltar smiled. "Excellent thinking, sir. Someone should keep watch over this sector. Earth is too valuable to leave unprotected." Over the following days, Admiral Zektar watched his remaining crew adapt to their new roles. Some became researchers studying Earth's unique ecosystem. Others joined human space programs, sharing Draconian technology to help humanity explore their own solar system. A few became teachers, establishing the first interspecies schools in galactic history. Admiral Zektar himself accepted a position as Earth's first alien ambassador, working with the United Nations to prepare humanity for eventual contact with other species. It was, he realized, the job he had been training for his entire life without knowing it. 6 months later, Admiral Zektar sat in his office in New York, reading reports from across the galaxy. The Draconian Hegemony had suddenly abandoned its conquest policies and become a peaceful exploration federation. Other aggressive species were experiencing similar transformations, their war fleets mysteriously becoming research. Vessels. Dr. Chen visited him regularly to discuss what she called expanding probability effects. "It seems humanity's unconscious influence is growing stronger," she explained. During one of their meetings, "As our population increases and we become more connected through technology, the Murphy field effect is extending beyond Earth. Species that might threaten us are becoming peaceful before they ever reach our solar system. Is that intentional? Not consciously, but on some level, humanity recognizes that our survival depends on galactic peace, so the universe is slowly adjusting to make that more probable." Admiral Zektar looked out his window at the bustling streets of New York. Humans and Draconians walked together, sharing meals and conversations. Children of both species played in parks while their parents discussed art, science, and philosophy. "Dr. Chen, what would happen if other species discovered the truth about human abilities?" She thought for a moment. "Probably the same thing that happened to you. The knowledge would become irrelevant because the threat would disappear. Any species that learned about our probability manipulation would become allies before they could use the information against us." Admiral Zektar laughed. "So humanity is conquering the galaxy through defensive reflexes. Not conquering, improving. Every species that encounters humans becomes a better version of itself. More peaceful, more creative, more cooperative. We're not ruling the galaxy. We're accidentally fixing it. That evening, Admiral Zektar sent his daily report to Draconian High Command. He wrote about successful cultural programs, scientific breakthroughs, and growing friendship between species. He recommended expanding the exchange programs and suggested that other hegemony fleets should visit Earth to learn human diplomatic techniques. As he finished the report, Admiral Zektar realized he had forgotten something important. There had been some other reason he originally came to Earth, something about weapons and conquest and military objectives. But every time he tried to remember, the thoughts slipped away like dreams upon waking. It didn't matter anyway. Whatever his original mission had been, this was better. Outside his window, the lights of Earth cities sparkled like stars. Somewhere up there, 23 Draconian ships maintained their protective watch over humanity. And across the galaxy, other fleets were quietly abandoning their conquest plans and heading for Earth to join the greatest cultural exchange program in galactic history. The humans remained completely unaware that they had just defeated the most powerful military forces in the EO galaxy simply by being themselves. Admiral Zektar smiled and went home to his apartment in Manhattan, where his human neighbors had invited him for dinner. Tomorrow he would continue his work as Earth's protector and ambassador. It was, he thought, the best job he'd ever had.